What's going on, everyone? So, there were set leaks that came out that many have already seen of a psych ward, and reports came out that hey, or I guess rumors have come out. Again, always take it with a grain of salt, but rumors have came out that there is going to be a psych ward patient that escapes, and then ends up making their way. Supposedly gets hit by Gale Weathers, and then we'll see how that all plays out. We don't have all the details, just kind of like, hey, there's going to be this character. It is rumored to be somebody middle-aged, is as it's put. We don't know if it's a male or a female. We don't know, again, much details. It's just like, hey, there's a psych ward, which we already seen pictures of, and that somebody is going to escape, and we'll see how that kind of all unfolds and unpacks itself, right? But the big question is, okay, like, is that going to be just some random person? Is it going to be somebody that doesn't have some significance, or, maybe ties in later at some point, but it's not a character that we're familiar with? It's not somebody that we're, that like, we're like, oh yeah, okay, we know who this person is. It's somebody from the past, whatever. Or is it somebody from the past? Is it somebody that is, recognizable, that immediately we see and we go, oh, okay, that is this person, right? Or that is this person. And now I'm going to dive into this video, and again, this is just my thoughts. This is just based on the information we have. We don't even know if the information is true, but these are just my opinions. However, there is a possibility that this could be accurate, because I am using, critical thinking based on the information we have to deduce this theory, deduce this idea, right? So if you're somebody that doesn't even want to take the chance of me guessing it right, if it happens, which I've done a lot, right? I do a lot of these like theory videos, idea videos, gonna be right on some of them, because they are educated guesses. I just want people to keep in mind that, like, hey, now's your chance, get out, get away, because I am gonna go into some details about some of the spoilers and stuff, and or potential spoilers. Nothing major, nothing like major plot point, unless I'm like spot on about this stuff, but this would just be my opinion. I don't have any information on this. There's no rumors or anything about this. This is just purely my thought process and my kind of theory and idea. So now's your chance to get out in 3, 2, 1. All right. So obviously, again, there is a mental patient supposedly that escapes, gets ran over by Gale Weathers right out front of Sydney's house. There's got to be a reason that person's going to Sydney's house. Either they're connected to Sydney, and like I said, we know who they are, or we don't know who they are. We don't know if they die from Gale, like Gale hits them and they die, or Gale hits them and they're perfectly okay. Maybe it's just like a little bump, especially if she's like right outside of Sydney's house. I imagine she's not like speeding down the road. So person probably survives, probably is okay. A lot of people, and I've already talked about this, a lot of people think or want or hope that it's Stu Macher. Which, look, I've said, I'm not a big Stu fan. I think let Stu stay dead, personally. That's just my opinion. I think that they should not bring Stu back. However, I think if you were ever going to bring him back, this is probably the movie to do it. I think that this would probably be the last time, and now you got the psych ward. It's just, there are definitely signs pointing to maybe Stu returns. I don't know for sure if he will, but definitely some kind of clues of like, okay, this might happen. But to me, I think another option that would actually be a little more interesting and entertaining would be to have Jill Roberts return, right? Emma Roberts in real life is 33, right? So she's around the age, right? I think, because, middle age is technically, like 30s to like 50s. So to me, I think the big kind of, what most people would enjoy would be, Stu, right? I think the big shock would be Jill. Now, if you look up like the textbook definition of middle age, it's usually between the age of 40 and 60, right? But the exact range is debated. Right? It's literally, I'm reading it straight up. So it says middle age is the period of life between young adulthood and old age. It generally considered to be between the ages of 40 and 60, but the exact range is debated. So Jill, again, is 33. Could you justify, especially because there's supposed to be a time jump, that maybe she's like 35, 36, something like that, and that's kind of like your justification, so she's middle-aged. Sure. I think Jill would be more surprising. Also, to kind of make the argument even further based on the information we know that it would be Jill, there is supposed to be a Scream 4 play. There is supposed to be several Scream 4 tie-ins, right? Kevin Williamson seems to, he wants to stay as far away from Scream 3 as possible, but, there's supposed to be little hints of all the other Screams in this film, but Scream 4 seems to be, based on the information we're getting, seems to be kind of more of a focal point, right? Like, this is going to tie in. They're even going to have a play and all this other stuff centered around Scream 4. It makes sense, given that all of the little details about Scream 4, that they would bring back a character from Scream 4. Now, obviously, they brought back Kirby Reed last film. Kirby come back this film. The original idea was for Jill to be alive. The original idea was for Jill to survive, and Kevin Williamson add a story, right? Like, because remember, Scream 4 was supposed to be the beginning of a new trilogy. And that's why they left Kirby kind of ambiguous, right? Like, there was all kinds of different ideas where there was one where, like, Jill was going to survive, and then the next film, a killer would know Jill's secret and would be trying to set her up, and she would have to kill in order to, try to, cover stuff up. And, her and Kirby were going to survive. There was one where it was going to be kind of left open-ended, and Sydney, was Sydney going to die, or was it Jill, or who was it, right? Like, there was all kinds of, different ideas thrown around, different, script ideas and stuff, but most of them had Jill surviving. So, is it possible that she survived and ended up in the psych ward and ends up escaping and tries to trek her way to Sydney's house and all that? The problem is, and the one kind of, so there's two knocks here, right? One for the Stu thing, because when I made the Stu video came out before we got the pictures, or I recorded it before we got the pictures. Couple things, right? One, the Stu and Jill theory and idea that they're the escaped mental patient. The mental ward is called Fallbrook. So unless that's outside of Woodsboro, it wouldn't make sense, right? Because Sydney is in Seattle or whatever, right? So Woodsboro's in California. So it would have to be something where it would have to be either outside of Woodsboro and then they make their way to Sydney, or if Fallbrook is the town in which Sydney lives in, right? Then it couldn't be Jill or Stu. It'd have to be somebody else independently, because they're not they're gonna move, Jill or Stu closer to Sydney. No, that doesn't make any sense, right? So realistically speaking, it's got to be something that adds up and makes sense. And I just think that it's probably not going to be either of these characters. Probably not going to be Jill or Stu. But I'd be all for it, right? I'm Jill. I mean, look, I don't want either to come back. I think what's dead should stay dead. I think you should move a completely new direction. But I think if you wanted to do the Jill route, right, I think that could be kind of interesting. Only just simply for the shock, right? Stu, I think at this point would be kind of predictable. I think Stu at this point would kind of just be pure fan service. Everyone would be expecting it. I don't think it would have the hit that it would as if it was Jill. So if you were going to go down this road, I would rather it be Jill. I'd be all for Jill. Again, I want to be clear, I don't want it regardless. I want it to be new characters and stuff like that. But if you were going to go down that route, I think Jill would be a little more surprising. I think Jill would be a little bit more of a shock than it would be Stu. I think everyone would just kind of be the Stu fans would be all of joy. But I just think most people would be yeah, I saw that coming. You know what I mean? Where Jill, I think it would be oh, it's Stu, and then nope, it's Jill. And we're all oh, no way, right? I think that would just be more surprising. I think that'd be a little more interesting. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Let me feel your thoughts. Do you agree? Would you prefer it to be Jill? Do you think no, it's got to be Stu? Do you want it to be somebody completely different, somebody completely original? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.